No, it would be much better instead of leaving home when you're 18, you graduate high school, and living in a dorm or off-campus housing and borrowing all this money going to college. Just skip college, live with your parents, for a few years after you get out of high school, get a job. And then when you're 21, 22, you'll have a good job. You'll be making some money. You won't have any debt. Now you can move out of your parents' house and live on your own. What's the point of going to college for a few years and now you're stuck in your parents' house until you're in your 30s or 40s? Well, look, the universities love it. They make a ton of money, right? Colleges, the lenders, the banks make a ton of money. The losers are the students. They're the ones that end up with all the debt, or the taxpayers are the losers when the students can't repay the debt and they're stuck with the bill. So, this is a situation, though, where government gets involved in housing. And so they run up the cost of housing. And now we have a housing bubble. We have all this mortgage debt. What are they doing with automobiles? Look, we got an auto bubble now.
That's right.
Because all these, cheap money and government, took over a lot of the auto lending and bailed out the auto companies. And, now people, auto loan is kind of like a mini mortgage now for people. And so, the government, anything the government gets involved in is a complete disaster. On the other hand, look at the things where the government is not involved, like, consumer electronics, right? There, everything gets better. Everything gets cheaper and everything gets better. That's because that's the free market. That's competition. So we want that in education. We want that in housing. We want that in healthcare. The government has screwed up healthcare. Why is healthcare costs rising so much? They always try to say, well, the reason that healthcare is more expensive is because, now it's more sophisticated. We can do more things now. It's more complicated, so it costs more. That's what they would say about computers. If governments made computers, we would be, well, why are computers so expensive now? Well, because look at all the things they do today. I mean, the computers are a lot more powerful than what they used to be, and they have they're a lot more complicated, and that's why they cost so much money. But the reality is, computers are cheaper today than they were 5, 10 years ago, even though they're better. So that's what the free market. If we got the government out of healthcare would be cheaper today. It'd be better and cheaper, right? It would be just like a cell phone or flat screen TV. That's what the free market does. It makes things better and it makes them less expensive. The government makes things worse and makes things more expensive. But, the important thing, though, I think that people need to do is recognize that, as bad as '08 was, I mean, what we're heading for is going to be a lot worse. And, if you weren't prepared financially for that, I mean, you got to be prepared for this next one because there's no bailouts, right? I mean, the markets came back, right? The government was able to reflate the bubble. So if you held on to your house, hey, maybe it bounced back. Your stock portfolio certainly came back. But there's going to be no coming back from this next one. So people have to really be prepared. And, that's really what I think is the most important thing that I can help people with now is really getting their financial house in order, particularly if you're nearing retirement or you're already retired and you have a portfolio that you're hoping to live out your retirement on, the income generated from that portfolio. You have really got to act quickly because the biggest losers are going to be the savers and investors who are just not positioned, who are going to bear the brunt of this. Because, this is going to be a giant default, whether it's legitimate, honest, or through inflation. And so a lot of people are going to be left holding the bag, and it's very unfortunate. But if you act now, you can do something. You can get your money out of U.S. assets. You can invest in places like Switzerland or Singapore or Hong Kong or New Zealand or countries that I really think will provide some solid opportunity and protection from really what's going to be going on here. So I would encourage people, my company, Euro Pacific Capital, I manage money as a broker dealer. Europac.com is the website, EUROPAC.com. People can visit that, contact me, definitely sign up for my weekly digest, so they're keeping abreast of what's going on. Oh, I mean, look, everybody wants that new car, and in fact, a lot of these young people that are living with their parents, I mean, that's basically that's all they got to show for themselves is a car, right? And some people are living in their cars, so that's another reason that people can pay a lot of money for cars. But if you're 25, 30-year-old kid living with your parents, I mean, at least if you can drive a nice car, You might be able to take a girl out on a date, or you without, she might not know that you live with your parents. So people, and the government is making it easier for people to qualify: low down payments, no down payments, 7-year, loans, 0% financing, leases. And I think, a lot of people too are taking out these low mileage leases. They're getting, let's say, 10,000 miles a year, and they're driving their cars 15,000 miles, and they have no idea how much they're going to owe when their lease is up. And they're not going to have the money to pay because they're broke, right? They're living paycheck to paycheck. So, yeah, I mean, this is another gigantic bubble, but, people have been suckered into it by government, just like they get people to buy lottery tickets. You get these poor people, buying lottery tickets with money that they should be using for, food. But the government corrupts everybody, and they get people to act recklessly and irresponsibly. I mean, without the Fed, none of this would be possible. Because if the government had to borrow real money, if they had to actually tax us, if we were still on the gold standard, yeah, well, the people wouldn't put up for it. I mean, right. we need to go back to sound money. I mean, that is the thing. And, one way that people can do that, and I'm very excited to be associated with this company, is a company called Gold Money. And my gold company, Schiff Gold, is now part of Gold Money. I sell physical precious metals, but Gold Money, and everybody listening to this interview, the first thing that you should do at the end of the interview is go to goldmoney.com and open up an account. Right? You go, it's very quick. You can do it for free. And what it is you can buy gold, right? You just take your Visa or MasterCard and buy $25, $50 worth of gold. And the only cost is a 0.5% fee to buy the gold. So you pay a 0.5% over spot, which is very, very low. But it's like a bank account, except it's in gold. You'll get a free MasterCard, right, that you can now use. You can use it any place they take MasterCard. You can put it into an ATM and get cash out, right? And you're spending your gold, right? But more importantly, let's say that you want to give your gold to somebody else, or you want somebody else to give you gold. You can transfer. So let's say you have $50 worth of gold and you want to give somebody $5 worth of your gold. You could just text it to them. You can email it to them. You can Facebook it to them. You could just give them your gold, and now they'll own the gold that you own. This is real gold you own in a vault with your name on it, Brink's Vault. And so what this is doing is it is basically letting you put yourself on a gold standard. Before the government came up with paper money, we were all using gold. But paper was more convenient to spend rather than lugging around bars of gold. But with the internet and with Gold Money, you can have your gold stored at a vault, and now you can spend it as easily as you can spend the cash that you have in the bank. In fact, easier. If I want to send somebody in Europe 100 euros, how would you do that if you're an American? If you don't even have any euros, how do you send somebody 100 euros? Are you going to go to a bank and buy some euros and then put them in an envelope and mail them to your friend in Europe? What's that going to cost? How long is that going to take? Are you going to go to a bank and wire the euros? Or, the wire would cost $15, $20. It's 15, but I can send somebody 100 euros worth of my gold right now. And it's gold is gold. And they can pull it out as euros. I bought it with dollars. They sell it for euros. Or they could just transact. When you have a Gold Money account, you can earn gold. You can have your paycheck direct deposited as gold into your account. If you're a landlord, you can allow your tenants to pay their rent in gold. Then you can pay your bills in gold. They're going to develop an entire ecosystem. Right now, they got 1.3 million users. I think they'll have 100 million users all around the world that are going to be now in a platform where they can transact with one another in gold, but transact with everybody else in paper money because they have a debit card. And the guy on the other side of the debit card doesn't know, that you've got gold in your account because he's getting euros or dollars, wherever you're spending. But I think it's going to be like FedEx disrupting the post office or Uber disrupting the taxi cabs. The government's product, government money, is no good. It loses value every year through inflation. You put your money in the bank, you get no interest, and there's always the risk that the bank fails. So you got to put your money into the banking system where it's at risk. They pay you nothing for taking that risk, and inflation is eroding away the value of the money that you don't spend. Alternatively, you open up a gold money account. You have real gold in your account. It doesn't lose value. There's no risk of failure because it's not a bank account. It's not a liability. You own the gold. In fact, you could take physical delivery of your gold whenever you want it. You can have it whenever you want. You can order it out. You can get it in as small as 10-gram cubes, right? So it's there. It's deliverable. It's yours. But I can buy a cup of coffee with it. I can buy a pack of chewing gum. So you can spend tiny amounts of your gold, or I can buy a car with it. I can, buy whatever I want. So I think it's a great system. I think it's just going to explode. It's like a PayPal, only better because it's PayPal with gold, right? And it's going to be universal. Yeah, I think gold money is better than Bitcoin because Bitcoin has no history as being a commodity. It's just being used as money, but it has no alternative use other than that. So if people decide they don't want, Bitcoin anymore, it's worthless. But gold has a multi-thousand-year history as a valuable element, as a valuable commodity that people want, irrespective of its, function as money. So you really know what gold is worth. You have long-standing relationships between an ounce of gold and a barrel of oil. You go back to Roman times, and, if you lived in Rome thousands of years ago, a quality toga, Roman toga that, maybe a senator would buy, that Roman toga costs an ounce of gold, a good toga. Well, how much is a good suit? Gold's $1,200 an ounce. That's about the cost of a quality men's suit, right? You have that relationship going back thousands of years. How much did a toga cost in Bitcoin? Well, who the hell knows? Bitcoin didn't exist until 5-6 years ago. So you don't have a historic relationship between Bitcoin, and Bitcoin has no value. You can't do anything with Bitcoin. I've got gold on a ring. I've got gold in my watch. People have gold in their teeth. There's gold in cell phones. There's gold in medicine. People use gold, right? It has, you can do things with it other than spend it as money. So, taking payment, if you're going to take payment in gold, it's cheaper. It's cheaper than Visa. It's cheaper than MasterCard. It's the cheapest way to transact online through gold. And of course, I don't even have to be online, right? I could just, they have an app. I think if my cell phone is next to your cell phone, I just directly pass some of my gold right from me to you. If you have Bitcoins, you can use your Bitcoins to buy gold into your gold money account. They accept Bitcoin, so you can buy your gold with your Bitcoins. So if you have 1,000 grams, unless you spend it, right, your 1,000 grams are still there. But the dollar value of those grams is going to fluctuate as the price of gold changes. So if the price of gold goes up 1%, right, then your gold is worth 1% more than you paid. If the price of gold goes down 1%, then your grams are worth 1% less, right? There's going to be a fluctuation. But I think over time, the price of gold is going to go up. Look, when the century began, right, gold was under $300 an ounce. It's more than tripled, right? So, and I think it's got a long way to go. You go back to 1971, gold was $35 an ounce. Now it's, $1,175, right? So gold goes up. It doesn't go up every day. It doesn't even go up every year. But over time, it just goes up. That's the opposite of dollars or euros or yen. They just go down over time. They buy less and less and less. If you think back at, what could you buy for $1 10 years ago? What could you buy 20 years ago, versus what you can buy today? You can buy more with your gold, but you buy less with your dollars, right? Prices go down in terms of gold, but they go up in terms of dollars.